The smell of Chipotle filled my dining room in my house. At my table, and my stomach growled so loudly I was sure everyone could hear it. My son Tyrone sat at the head of the table, unwrapping a massive burrito bowl loaded with steak, rice, beans, guacamole, cheese, sour cream. My daughter-in-law Tanya sat across from him with her own burrito, equally loaded, scrolling through her phone while she ate. My grandchildren, Jaden, 8 and Kira, 6, had kids' meals, tacos, chips, the little juice boxes they loved. The bags on the counter showed they'd spent at least $45 on this meal. Maybe $50, and then Tanya slid a paper plate across the table to me. On it, 4 chicken nuggets, cold, the kids' leftovers from lunch at school, a small pile of ketchup squeezed from a packet. I stared at that plate. "Is this my dinner?" I asked quietly. Tanya didn't even look up from her phone. "Yeah, you don't do anything around here to deserve real food. You don't work. You don't contribute, you just sit around all day. So you get what the kids don't finish. Be grateful you're getting anything." I looked at my son, waited for him to say something, to tell his wife she was wrong, that his mother deserved respect, that you don't feed a 68-year-old woman table scraps while you eat restaurant food. Tyrone said nothing, just kept eating his burrito, avoiding my eyes. This wasn't the first time, this had been happening for 6 months. Every single night, I got whatever the children didn't finish. Cold nuggets, leftover pizza crusts, half-eaten sandwiches, the ends of hot dogs while they ordered takeout. Chipotle, Zaxby's, Chinese food, pizza, Wingstop. Every night, something different, something fresh and hot and good. And every night, I got scraps. I looked at those 4 cold chicken nuggets and I made a decision. Something was very wrong in this house. Something beyond the disrespect, beyond the cruelty, beyond my daughter-in-law treating me like I was less than human. And tomorrow I was going to start finding out what it was. But first, let me tell you how I got here. How a woman who'd worked for 35 years, who owned her own home, who'd built a life of dignity and independence, ended up eating her grandchildren's leftover chicken nuggets at her own dining room table. Before we continue, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to hear my story. If you're comfortable, let me know where you're listening from, and what time it is where you are. Now let me tell you my story. My name is Loretta Mae Williams, and I was born in 1956 in Birmingham, Alabama, in a neighborhood where black families worked hard, saved harder, and taught their children that dignity couldn't be bought, but it sure as hell could be lost if you didn't protect it. My parents, Samuel and Ruth Williams, both worked at a steel manufacturing plant. My father on the line, my mother in the office doing clerical work. They weren't educated people, neither had finished high school, but they understood numbers, understood value, understood that a dollar saved was freedom you'd earned. Loretta, my mother used to tell me while we folded laundry in our small kitchen, "You remember this, don't ever let anybody make you feel like you ain't worth nothing. You work, you earn, you stand on your own 2 feet, and when you can't work no more you make sure you got something saved up so you never have to depend on nobody who don't respect you." I carried that lesson my whole life. I graduated from high school in 1974, got hired by the U.S. Postal Service in Atlanta in 1975. Started as a clerk, sorting mail, working the counter. The pay wasn't great, $3.75 an hour, but it was federal employment, which meant benefits, stability, a pension if you stayed long enough. I stayed 35 years. Worked my way up from clerk to supervisor to postmaster of a small station in DeKalb County. Watched my salary grow from $3.75 an hour to $55,000 a year by the time I retired. Paid into my pension every paycheck. Paid into Social Security. Saved money in a credit union account. I met Jerome Williams in 1979 at a church social. He was a mechanic, worked at a GM dealership, had hands that could fix anything and a smile that made me forget my own name. We got married in 1980 in a small ceremony at my parents' church. Me in a dress my mother sewed, him in a suit he'd saved 3 months to buy. We had one son, Tyrone, born in 1984. We raised him in a small apartment at first, saving every dollar we could. By 1988 we'd saved enough for a down payment on a house. A 3-bedroom ranch in DeKalb County. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Cost $62,000. We put down $12,000. We'd saved over 8 years. Took out a 30-year mortgage for the rest at 10.15% interest. That's what rates were in 1988. Jerome and I had a plan. Pay it off in 22 years. not 30. We paid extra every month. Every bonus I got at the post office, every overtime shift Jerome worked, every tax refund, it all went to that mortgage. We paid it off in 2010. 22 years. Exactly like we planned. Threw a party, took a photo of us holding the paid-off mortgage papers, framed it and hung it in our living room. Jerome died 8 years later in 2018. Heart attack. Massive and sudden. He was 64 years old, about to retire from the dealership, about to enjoy the life we'd worked so hard to build. He left me $85,000 in life insurance from GM. Left me a house that was paid off and worth by then about $180,000. Left me his pension survivor benefits. Left me alone but financially secure. I retired from the Postal Service in 2016 at 60 years old with a full pension. By 2024 my financial situation was this. House worth $340,000 paid off, no mortgage, $110,000 in savings and investments, pension of $1,850 per month. Social Security of $1,020 per month. Total monthly income $3,270. I wasn't rich, but I was comfortable. Secure. Independent, could pay my bills, could buy my groceries, could live with dignity. I'd worked 35 years for that dignity. And then my son moved in and his wife took it from me piece by piece. Tyrone had always been soft. That's the kindest way to say it. Jerome and I raised him to work hard, to save money, to be responsible, but we also gave him things we never had, never wanted him to struggle the way we struggled. Maybe that was our mistake. He went to Georgia State University, got a degree in business management, got a decent job in warehouse logistics management, made about $52,000 a year by the time he was 35. Should have been enough to live on, save, build a life. Then he married Tanya. Tanya Harris, met Tyrone at a friend's barbecue in 2016. She was 27, he was 32. She was pretty outgoing, fun, worked retail at Macy's, made maybe $28,000 a year. They dated for a year, got married in 2017 in a wedding I paid half of because Tyrone's savings were thin and Tanya's family had no money. They had 2 kids, fast Jaden in 2016 before they got married, Kira in 2018. Tanya quit her job after Kira was born, said she was going to be a stay-at-home mom, said they'd live on Tyrone's income. They lived in a small apartment in Decatur. Should have been fine. Tyrone made $52K, which was tight with 2 kids but manageable if they were careful. They weren't careful. I watched from a distance as Tyrone's credit card debt climbed, watched as they ate out constantly, bought things they didn't need, lived beyond their means. I said nothing. They were adults. They'd figure it out. Then in 2021 Tyrone lost his job. His company downsized, laid off half the warehouse management staff. He was unemployed for 3 months. Couldn't find work, fell behind on rent, fell behind on everything. He called me one evening. His voice breaking. Mom, I don't know what to do. We're about to be evicted. We have nowhere to go. Tanya and the kids. Mom, I can't let them be homeless. Come stay with me, I said without hesitation. Temporarily, just until you get back on your feet. This house has 3 bedrooms. You, Tanya, the kids. You move in with me until you find a new job and save enough to get your own place again. Mom, I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm offering. You're my son. This is what family does. They moved in 2 weeks later. That was 3 years ago. Tyrone found a new job within 6 months. Different company, same kind of work, same salary. By early 2022 he was back to making $52,000 a year. But they never moved out. At first everything was fine. Better than fine. Tanya helped with groceries. We took turns cooking. Tyrone helped with repairs around the house. The kids were sweet, filled the house with noise and life. It felt good having family around again. The house had been so quiet since Jerome died. But then things started changing. Subtle at first. So subtle I almost didn't notice. Tanya started asking me to watch the kids after school. Loretta, you're home anyway, can you just pick them up from the bus stop? It would help me out so much. Then, can you watch them all afternoon? I have some errands to run. Then can you do their laundry? You're doing yours anyway, right? Just throw theirs in too. I said yes, because they were family. Because I wanted to help. Because I didn't mind watching my grandchildren or doing a little extra laundry. But the requests kept growing. Can you clean the bathrooms? You have time during the day. Can you vacuum? The house is getting messy. Can you cook dinner? I'm just so tired from dealing with the kids all day. Within a year I was doing all the housework, all the cooking, all the childcare, while Tanya spent her days on her phone watching TV, going out with friends, getting her nails done, shopping. Tyrone worked long hours, left at 7 a.m., home by 7 p.m., exhausted. He didn't notice, or if he noticed he didn't care. By year 2, Tanya stopped pretending to be grateful. She started calling me Loretta instead of Mom or Miss Loretta. Just Loretta, like I was help not family. She started leaving me notes with chores. Loretta, wash the dishes, wipe down the counters, vacuum the living room, fold the laundry. No please, no thank you, just orders. She started criticizing everything I did. You folded the towels wrong. You didn't use enough detergent. You overcooked the chicken. You're not watching the kids closely enough. And Tyrone said nothing. Every time I tried to talk to him about Tanya's behavior, he'd get defensive. Mom, she's stressed. Being home with kids all day is hard. Cut her some slack. Tyrone, I'm doing all the work. I cook, I clean, I watch the kids. What exactly is she doing? She's raising our children. That's a full-time job. I raised you while working full-time at the post office. Don't tell me about full-time jobs. That was different. How? Just drop it. Mom, don't make this into a thing. So I dropped it, because I didn't want to cause problems, because they were living in my house and I didn't want to make things awkward. That was my mistake. Staying quiet, because Tanya saw my silence as weakness, and she pushed further. 8 months ago, she came to me with a proposition. Loretta, we need to talk about finances. We were in the kitchen. She was leaning against the counter, arms crossed, looking at me like I was a problem she was solving. Your social security check. It comes to this address, right? Yes? It's direct deposited into my account. Right. Well, Tyrone and I have been talking. It would make more sense if we consolidated finances. You know, since we all live together and share expenses, if you just had your social security deposited into a joint account that I can access, I can make sure all the household bills get paid. It's more efficient. Every instinct I had screamed, no. But Tanya kept talking. Don't you trust us? We're family. Tyrone and I are handling all the household bills anyway. Electricity, water, internet, everything. This just makes it simpler. Plus, you know, you're getting older. It's good to have someone younger keeping track of finances in case you forget something or get confused. I'm not confused. I've been managing my own money for 68 years. I know, but wouldn't it be easier to not have to worry about it? Just let me handle it. You've earned your rest. She made it sound so reasonable, so caring, like she was doing me a favor. And part of me, the part that was tired, that was worn down from 2 years of being treated like help, that wanted so badly to believe my family loved me, that part said okay. Just my social security, I said. Not my pension. My pension stays in my own account. Of course, whatever makes you comfortable. I went to the bank the next day. Added Tanya as a joint owner on my secondary checking account. Had my social security $14 trillion per month direct deposited there. It was the biggest mistake of my life. Within 2 weeks I realized I'd lost access to my own money. I tried to use my debit card at Kroger. Declined. I checked my account balance at the ATM, $23. I went home and asked Tanya, why is there no money in the joint account? My social security was deposited last week. I moved it to cover household expenses. Bills were due. Can I have some back? I need to buy groceries. I already bought groceries. For me, I didn't see anything I can eat. You bought food for you and Tyrone and the kids. Nothing for me. Loretta, we're all eating the same food. There's plenty of food in this house. Not for me, there isn't. Then I guess you should have thought of that before you spent your whole life working, instead of learning to cook better. I stared at her. The mask was completely off, the pretense of being family, of caring, of respect gone. I want access to my money. It's not just your money anymore, it's household money. And I'm managing it. If you need something, ask me, and if it's reasonable, I'll consider it. That's my social security. And you're living in our house rent-free, using our electricity, our water, our internet, eating our food. The least you can do is contribute. This is my house. Is it? Because it seems like Tyrone and I are the ones living here, raising our family here, making this place a home. You're just here, taking up space. I wanted to throw her out, wanted to scream, wanted to call Tyrone and make him see what his wife was doing. But I was tired. So tired. And I'd learned over 2 years that Tyrone would side with Tanya every time. So I retreated. Stopped asking for money. Started using my pension, the $1850 per month that Tanya didn't have access to buy my own food, my own necessities, hid it from her, ate in my room. That's when the leftover food started. 6 months ago, Tanya announced a new household rule at dinner. We're teaching the kids about food waste. From now on, if the kids don't finish their food, we're not throwing it away. Someone eats it. That someone was always me. Cold chicken nuggets from school lunch, leftover pizza crusts, half-eaten sandwiches, the ends of hot dogs, apple slices that had turned brown, crackers with one bite taken out. Meanwhile, Tyrone, Tanya, and the kids ate takeout every single night. Different restaurants, different cuisines. Always fresh, always hot, always good. I got scraps. When I objected the first time, "This isn't dinner, this is garbage," Tanya looked at me with cold eyes and said, "You don't do anything to deserve real food. You don't work. You don't contribute. You sit around this house all day doing nothing. So you get what the kids don't finish. Be grateful you're getting anything at all." Tyrone said nothing. He never said anything. My grandson Jaden looked uncomfortable. "Grandma can have some of my burrito if she wants." "No," Tanya said sharply. "Grandma gets what I give her. Finish your food." I ate those cold chicken nuggets that first night, not because I was weak, and not because I was poor, but because I was in shock. I looked at that plate and I looked at my son and I realized a transaction had taken place. I had paid $1,420 for groceries, and this was what Tanya had decided to give me in return. If I bought my own dinner, I was letting her steal my money and paying double. So I ate them. I ate them and I let the anger build inside me like pressure in a boiler. That was 6 months ago, and it had happened every night since. But something else was happening that I was only beginning to understand. Something that explained where my Social Security money was really going. I started noticing things about Tanya. She was always dressed up, new clothes constantly. I saw the shopping bags from Macy's, from TJ Maxx, from H&M, new shoes every few weeks, new purses. Her nails were always fresh. Every 2 weeks, like clockwork, she'd come home with a fresh manicure, $65 each time based on the receipt I found in the trash. She ate out for lunch several times a week. I'd see her leave the house around noon, come back at 2 p.m. with Panera bags or Chipotle bags. She had a new iPhone, the latest model, $1,000 plus, new AirPods, new Apple Watch. But Tanya didn't work. Hadn't worked in 6 years. Tyrone made $52,000 a year. After taxes, maybe $40,000 take home. That's $3,333 per month. Rent and utilities in the Atlanta area for a family of 4? At least $1,800 as $2,000 if they'd been on their own. They were living in my house for free, so theoretically they should have been saving that money. But they weren't saving, they were spending. On takeout, on clothes, on Tanya's lifestyle. My Social Security was $1,400 per month. Even adding that to Tyrone's income, the math didn't work for Tanya's spending. Something was wrong. I tried to access the joint bank account online. Tanya had changed the password. I was locked out of my own account. I went to the bank in person, told the teller I needed to see statements for the joint account. The teller pulled it up. "You're joint owner, so I can give you statements. Let me print the last 6 months. I took the papers to my car and looked at them. The account had $47 in it. My Social Security of $1,400 had been deposited 6 times over 6 months. That's $8,500 total. Where was it? I looked at the transaction history, transfer after transfer to another account, an account ending in numbers I didn't recognize, cash withdrawals at ATMs, Venmo payments to someone named Deshawn M. Who the hell was Deshawn M? I went back inside. "Can you tell me who owns the account these transfers are going to?" "I'm sorry, ma'am. I can only give you information about accounts where you're an owner. That other account you're not listed. What about these Venmo payments? Can you tell me who Deshawn M is?" "I can't access Venmo records. You'd need to contact Venmo directly or the account holder." "The account holder." Tanya. I sat in my car in that bank parking lot and I understood. Tanya was stealing my Social Security and sending it somewhere else. To someone named Deshawn M. I thought about confronting her. Thought about calling the police. Thought about telling Tyrone. But I had no proof beyond these bank statements. And Tanya was clever. She'd say the money went to household expenses, or she'd have some explanation, or she'd make me seem confused and paranoid. I needed real proof. Hard proof. Undeniable proof. I needed a professional. I drove home, went to my room, and I Googled Private Investigator Atlanta. Dozens of results. I looked for someone who specialized in financial investigations, someone with good reviews, someone who looked trustworthy. I found Raymond Collins. Former Atlanta police detective, ran his own investigation firm now. His website showed he specialized in financial fraud, infidelity investigations, background checks. I called the number. Collins Investigations, this is Raymond. Mr. Collins, my name is Loretta Williams. I think my daughter-in-law is stealing my Social Security money, and possibly having an affair. I need proof. There was a pause. Then can you come to my office tomorrow morning? I'd like to hear the full story. I'll be there. His office was in a modest building in Decatur. Raymond Collins was a black man in his mid-50s, graying at the temples with sharp eyes and an expression that said he'd seen everything and wasn't easily shocked. I told him everything. The living situation, the gradual takeover, the financial control, the joint account, the missing $85,520. The Venmo payments to Deshawn and Tanya's new clothes, her lunches out, her Tuesday and Thursday disappearances for 3-4 hours. Tuesday and Thursday, Raymond asked. Every week? Like clockwork. She says she's running errands, but she's gone for hours, and she comes back happy, glowing, and her phone is constantly buzzing with texts from someone saved as DM in her contacts. Deshawn M., Raymond said. From the Venmo payments? That's what I think. Raymond leaned back in his chair. Mrs. Williams, what you're describing is financial exploitation of an elderly person. That's a crime in Georgia. If I can prove she's taking your Social Security and using it for personal expenses, especially for an affair, that's theft and fraud. Can you prove it? I can try. I'll tail her on her Tuesday and Thursday outings. Document where she goes, who she sees. I'll pull financial records with your authorization as joint account holder. I can get more detailed information. I'll find out who Deshawn M. is. Give me 2 weeks. How much? 2 weeks of surveillance and financial investigation, full report with photos and documentation, $2,000. I had $2,000 in my pension account, the one Tanya couldn't access. It was money I'd been saving for emergencies. This qualified. Do it, I said. I'll start tomorrow. Tuesday, you said. I'll follow her. That Tuesday, I watched Tanya leave the house at 1 p.m. She was dressed up, tight jeans, nice top, hair done, makeup perfect. She told me she was running errands. I knew Raymond was out there somewhere, following her, documenting everything. It was the longest 2 weeks of my life. I continued eating leftover chicken nuggets while they ate takeout. Continued being treated like help in my own house. Continued watching my son say nothing while his wife abused me. But I knew the truth was coming. 2 weeks later, Raymond called. Mrs. Williams, I have your report. Can you come to my office? I drove there the next morning, my heart pounding. Raymond handed me a manila folder. Thick, full. Before you open this, he said, I want to warn you, what's in here is going to hurt. Are you ready? I'm ready. I opened the folder. The first thing I saw was a photo of Tanya, standing outside an apartment building in Decatur, kissing a man, a young black man, muscular, attractive. They were kissing like they'd done it 1,000 times. The timestamp on the photo, Tuesday, 2:47 p.m., 2 weeks ago. I turned the page. More photos. Tanya and this man entering the apartment building together, leaving hours later, at a restaurant together, holding hands across the table, at the mall, shopping together, him carrying her bags. That's Deshawn Matthews, Raymond said. He's 32 years old, personal trainer at LA Fitness on Memorial Drive, lives in that apartment building you see in the photos, Riverdale Apartments. Rent is $1,050 a month. She's having an affair. A full relationship, from what I observed. She visits him every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, 3 to 4 hours each time. They go out to eat, they shop together, they spend time at his apartment. This has been going on for at least 6 months based on the Venmo payment history. I turned more pages, screenshots of Venmo payments, All from Tanya's account to Deshaun Matthews. $450 on January 15th. Description: rent help $450 on February 15th. Description: rent $450 on March 15th. Description: for the apartment baby, she'd been paying his rent every month with my social security money. More Venmo payments. $127 for dinner. $340 for Apple Watch. $89 for cologne. $156 for gym clothes. Dozens of payments, small and large, all adding up. Then Raymond showed me the full financial breakdown. Over 6 months, your daughter-in-law transferred $8,520 from the joint account to her personal account. Here's where it went. The list was itemized, detailed, damning. $2,700 to Deshaun Matthews for rent. $450 month Kai's 6 months. $9 and entertainment with Deshaun, restaurants, movies, mini-golf. $50 on gifts for Deshaun, Apple Watch, clothes, cologne, gym membership. $1,840 on Tanya's personal expenses, clothes, shoes, nails, hair, purses. $20 on lunches out and miscellaneous shopping. $1,200 still unaccounted for cash withdrawals. Total $8,520. My entire 6 months of Social Security payments. Stolen, to fund an affair and a lifestyle. I looked at Raymond. This is enough to press charges. More than enough. This is financial exploitation of an elderly person. You're 68, that triggers enhanced penalties in Georgia. This is theft, fraud, possibly identity theft depending on how she accessed the account. The DA would prosecute this. What about my son? Could he be charged too? Does he know about any of this? I don't think so. I think he's clueless. Then no. The evidence shows Tanya acting alone. Tyrone is a victim too, in a way. She's cheating on him with his mother's money. I closed the folder, sat there in silence. Raymond said gently, "What do you want to do?" "I want her arrested. I want her charged. I want my money back. And I want them out of my house." "Then that's what we'll do." I called my lawyer that afternoon. The same lawyer who'd handled Jerome's estate and my will. I showed him everything. The bank statements, the PI report, the photos, the Venmo payments. He reviewed it all carefully. Then he said, "Loretta, this is one of the clearest cases of elder financial exploitation I've ever seen, criminal and civil. You can press charges criminally. She'll face prison time if convicted. You can sue civilly for restitution of the $8,520 plus damages, and you can evict them from your house immediately. How fast can we move?" The criminal charges: you file a police report today, they can arrest her within days. The eviction, I can file that tomorrow. It's your house. They're not on the lease. You can give them 30 days notice under Georgia law. The civil suit, we file after the criminal case resolves. Do it. All of it. But before all that, I wanted to give Tyrone one chance. One chance to see the truth. To do the right thing. To choose his mother over his wife. I planned a family meeting. Told Tyrone and Tanya we needed to talk about household finances and living arrangements. Said it was important. Said we needed to sit down Saturday evening. Tanya rolled her eyes. "What's there to talk about?" "Everything's fine. We'll see about that," I said. Saturday evening, 7 p.m., I set up the dining room table. The same table where I'd been eating leftover chicken nuggets while they ate takeout for 6 months. I invited my pastor, Reverend Johnson, to be there as a witness and mediator. He'd known our family for 20 years, married Tyrone and Tanya, baptized the grandkids. He agreed immediately when I told him what was happening. The kids were at my neighbor's house. This was going to be adults only. Tyrone and Tanya sat down, looking confused and annoyed. Reverend Johnson sat at the head of the table. I sat across from them with a folder in front of me. "What's this about, Mom?" Tyrone asked. "It's about the truth," I said. "The truth about what's been happening in this house for the past 6 months." I opened the folder and pulled out the first document, the bank statement for the joint account. "This is the account where my Social Security gets deposited, $1,420 every month for the past 6 months. That's $8,520 total." I slid it across the table to Tyrone. "Look at the balance. $47. Where did my Social Security money go?" Tyrone looked at the statement, confused. Then he looked at Tanya. "I thought you said her money was going to household expenses." "It is," Tanya said. "Bills are expensive. You know how much we spend on food alone?" "Then explain this." I pulled out the second document, The itemized list of transactions Raymond had compiled. This shows every transfer out of that account, every Venmo payment, every ATM withdrawal, every purchase. Tyrone read it. His face went pale. Rent payments? To who? To Deshaun Matthews. $400 a month for 6 months. Total $2,700 of my Social Security money. Who the hell is Deshaun Matthews? Tyrone asked. I pulled out the photos, the kiss outside the apartment building, Tanya and Deshaun holding hands at a restaurant, shopping together at the mall, entering his apartment together. I laid them out on the table one by one, like cards in a game where I held all the aces. Deshaun Matthews is the man your wife has been having an affair with for at least 6 months. The man she visits every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, the man whose rent she's been paying with my Social Security money. The room went silent. Tyrone stared at the photos. His hands were shaking. These are fake, Tanya said, her voice sharp. This is photoshopped. Loretta's trying to break us up because she's jealous that I have a relationship with you and she doesn't. They're not fake, Reverend Johnson said quietly. Tanya, I've known Sister Loretta for 20 years. She's not a liar. She's not manipulative. If she's showing you these photos, they're real. They're not. They're time-stamped, I said. Every photo has a date and time, and I have video too. The private investigator I hired documented everything. You hired a private investigator? Tyrone's voice was hollow, shocked. I had to. You wouldn't believe me. You never believed me. So I hired a professional to get proof. I pulled out more documents. The Venmo payment history, all the payments to Deshaun Matthews for rent, for dinners, for gifts. She's been using my Social Security to pay her boyfriend's rent, to take him out to dinner, to buy him an Apple Watch. Meanwhile, she's been feeding me leftover chicken nuggets and telling me I don't deserve real food. Tyrone looked at Tanya, really looked at her. Is this true? I can explain. Is it true? His voice was louder now. Have you been cheating on me? With my mother's money? Tanya's face crumpled. Real tears now. I didn't mean for it to happen. I was lonely. You're never home. You work all the time. I needed someone to see me. So you stole from my mother, and had an affair. I didn't steal. She gave me access to the account. It was just sitting there and you weren't paying attention to me and Deshaun made me feel wanted. Get out. Tanya stopped crying. What? Tyrone stood up. Get out. Pack your things and get out of this house. Tyrone, wait. You cheated on me. You stole from my mother. You've been treating her like garbage while living in her house rent-free. Get out. Tanya looked at me. This is your fault. You've ruined my marriage. I ruined your marriage? I stood up too. You had an affair and stole my money. I didn't do that. You did. You went behind my back. You hired a PI. You stole $8,520 from me. You fed me leftovers while you ate takeout every night. You told me I didn't deserve real food. And you were spending my Social Security on your boyfriend. What exactly did you expect me to do? Tyrone had his phone out. I'm calling my cousin Andre. You can stay with him tonight until you figure out where you're going, but you're not staying here. What about the kids? The kids stay here, with me and my mother. You can see them when we work out custody, but you're leaving. Tonight. Tanya looked at Reverend Johnson, desperate. Tell him he's overreacting. Tell him this can be fixed. Reverend Johnson shook his head. Tanya, you broke sacred vows, marriage vows and the commandment to honor your elders. This isn't something I can fix with counseling. This is something you did, and these are the consequences. Tanya left that night, screaming, crying, blaming me, blaming Tyrone, blaming everyone but herself. After she left, Tyrone sat at the dining room table with his head in his hands. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I should have seen this. I should have protected you. Yes, I said. You should have. I know I was blind. I didn't want to see what she was, and I let her treat you like I was nothing. Yeah. Why didn't you stand up for me, Tyrone? Even once, when she was feeding me scraps while you ate restaurant food. When she was calling me Loretta like I was help. When she was treating me like I was worthless in my own house. Why didn't you say anything? He was quiet for a long time, then because it was easier not to, because saying something would have meant dealing with her anger, her tantrums, her making my life hell, and I was tired. I worked all day, I came home exhausted, and I just wanted peace. So I looked the other way. I let her treat you however she wanted, because it meant she'd leave me alone. You chose peace over defending your mother. Yeah. And I'm ashamed of that. I'm so ashamed. I sat down across from him. Tyrone, you're 40 years old. You've got 2 kids. You need to figure out who you are. Because the man who lets his wife abuse his mother isn't the man I raised. That's not the man your father would have been proud of. I know. So you fix it, you become better. You raise those kids to be better. I will. I promise. And Tyrone, you're not living here anymore either. He looked up, shocked. What? I've already talked to my lawyer. I'm filing eviction papers. You have 30 days to find another place. Mom, please. You've been living here for 3 years. You were supposed to stay temporarily. You got back on your feet 2.5 years ago. You could have moved out any time, but you stayed because it was free, because it was easy, because you could let your wife abuse me, and pretend not to notice. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem. You're a grown man with a job. Figure it out. What about the kids? The kids can visit me anytime, but you and them, you need to leave. I need my house back. I need my peace back. Mom, please. I'm sorry. I'll do better. I believe you will. But you'll do better somewhere else. I filed the eviction papers the next day. I also filed a police report against Tanya for financial exploitation of an elderly person. The police arrested her 3 days later, charged her with theft, financial exploitation and fraud. The district attorney prosecuted. The evidence was overwhelming. The bank statements, the Venmo payments, the PI documentation, everything. Tanya's public defender tried to work out a plea deal. The DA offered plead guilty, 18 months in prison, eligibility for parole after 12 months, full restitution of $8,510, 5 years probation after release. Tanya took the deal. Didn't want to risk a trial. She was sentenced 4 months later. The judge said, Ms. Williams, what you did was particularly cruel. You stole from an elderly woman who had opened her home to you. You used that money to fund an affair. And you treated her with contempt and cruelty. You fed her table scraps while you ate well. Georgia takes the exploitation of the elderly seriously, and so do I. 18 months in state prison. She'd be eligible for parole in 12 months if she behaved. Tyrone filed for divorce while she was awaiting sentencing. She didn't contest it. The kids went to live temporarily with Tanya's mother while Tyrone figured out custody and housing. Tyrone and the kids moved out of my house exactly 30 days after I filed the eviction. He found a small apartment in Stone Mountain, 2 bedrooms, $1,450 a month. Tight with his salary and child support obligations, but manageable. He was hurt, angry at me for evicting him, blamed me for destroying his family. We didn't speak for 6 months. But eventually he called. Mom, can we talk? We met at a Panera, neutral territory. I've been in therapy, he said, working through everything, the marriage, the divorce, my role in what happened to you. And I was wrong. About everything. I enabled Tanya, I let her abuse you. I chose peace over doing what was right. I failed you as a son. Yes, you did. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. I looked at my son, he looked older, tired, worn down by consequences. Tyrone, I forgive you. But forgiveness doesn't mean things go back to how they were. You're going to have to earn back my trust. Prove through actions, not just words, that you've changed. What do you need from me? I need you to respect me, to stand up for me if anyone ever treats me badly again, to raise your kids to respect their elders, to be the man your father would have been proud of. I can do that. And Tyrone, you're never living in my house again. You'll never have access to my finances. We rebuild this relationship slowly, with boundaries. I understand. That was a year ago. Tyrone and I have rebuilt something. It's different than before. Less close, more careful, with clear boundaries. But we talk weekly. The kids visit me every other weekend. They're good kids, and I love them. Tanya was released from prison after serving 14 months. She moved back to Columbus where her mother lives. I've heard through mutual acquaintances that she's working retail again, trying to rebuild her life. I don't think about her much. She's not worth the mental energy. As for me, I'm 69 years old now. I live alone in my house, my beautiful peaceful house that's mine again. I removed Tanya from all bank accounts, changed all my passwords, set up safeguards with my bank so no one can be added to my accounts without multiple verifications. I get my pension $1,850 a month, and my social security $1,420 a month. I live comfortably, pay my bills, buy my groceries, eat real food, not scraps. I volunteer at my church, I'm part of a senior social group, I have friends, community, purpose, and I teach a class now at my church. Protecting yourself from family financial abuse. 30 people come every month. Mostly older black women like me who've worked hard, saved money and are terrified their families will take advantage of them. I tell them my story. The whole story. The chicken nuggets. The stolen social security, the affair. The private investigator. The arrest. And I teach them what I learned. Last week someone asked, Sister Loretta, how do you trust family again after something like that? I thought about it, then I said, you don't trust blindly, you trust with verification. You trust with boundaries. You trust with your eyes open. My daughter-in-law told me she was managing my money for household expenses. I trusted her because she was family. That was my mistake. Now I manage my own money. Nobody has access. Nobody gets added to my accounts. If someone asks, the answer is no. Trust isn't something you give away because someone shares your DNA. Trust is something you give to people who've earned it through consistent, respectful, honest behavior. My daughter-in-law fed me leftover chicken nuggets while she ate takeout. She told me I didn't deserve real food. She stole my social security to pay her boyfriend's rent. She showed me exactly who she was, and I believed her. Then I hired a private investigator, then I pressed charges, then I took my power back. That's what you do when someone exploits you. You don't stay quiet, you don't accept it, you don't make excuses for them. You gather evidence, you get professionals involved. You protect yourself, you prosecute if necessary. Because your dignity isn't negotiable. Your security isn't optional. Your right to be treated with respect doesn't expire when you get old. I'm 69 years old. I worked 35 years at the post office. I bought my house and paid it off. I earned my retirement, my pension, my social security. And I'll be damned if I let anyone, family or otherwise, take that from me. My daughter-in-law thought I was weak, thought I was helpless. Thought I'd just accept whatever treatment she gave me. She was wrong. And if anyone in your life is treating you the way I was treated, I'm telling you you're not helpless. You're not weak. You have options. You can hire a private investigator. You can call the police. You can press charges. You can evict people from your house. You can take back your power. Don't eat the chicken nuggets. Don't accept the scraps. Don't let anyone tell you that you don't deserve real food, real respect, real dignity. You deserve better. We all do. The room was quiet when I finished. Then someone started clapping. Then everyone was clapping. Because they understood. Because they'd been there, or they knew someone who had, or they were afraid of ending up there. After class, a woman came up to me, Mrs. Patterson, 71 years old. Sister Loretta, my son's girlfriend has been asking to be added to my bank account. She says it's to help me manage things. But something feels wrong. Then it probably is wrong, I said. Trust your instincts, tell her no. Your money is yours. You don't owe anyone access to it. But what if she gets mad? What if my son sides with her? Then you'll know who they really are, and you'll protect yourself anyway, because your security is more important than their feelings. She nodded slowly. You're right. Thank you. I hugged her. You're welcome, sister. And remember, you're not alone. We've got each other. That's what I do now. I teach, I support, I help other elderly people protect themselves from the same kind of exploitation I experienced. It's my purpose now. My legacy. Not the house, not the money, not the things I've accumulated. My legacy is teaching other women that they don't have to accept abuse, that they can fight back, that they have power even when the world tells them they don't. My daughter-in-law tried to break me. Instead, she taught me how strong I really am. And I'm using that strength to make sure no one else eats chicken nuggets at their own dining room table, while thieves steal their dignity.